Come join the show. Positude Podcast is where we go. Slip on your comfy clothes just right. Grab your coffee, feel the light. Maggie Heart will guide you right through the day and through the night. Laugh and learn and feel so free. Dive into this mystery. Every week we bring the flow, fresh and fun and all aglow. Survival skills and healing too. Dance along to sounds and news. Current events and theories bright. Meditation soft and light. Growth and positivity. Mind and soul in harmony. Maggie Heart will guide you right through the day and through the night. Laugh and learn and feel so free. Dive into this mystery. Every week we bring the flow, fresh and fun and all aglow. Survival skills and healing too. Dance along to sounds you knew.
Good evening, folks, and welcome to another episode of the Positude Podcast. I'm your host, Maggie Hart. Holy moly cannolis, the weather is still bipolar. It was hot as heck here today, and then it rained, and then we had this freezing cold wind blowing for the rest of the night, but seems a little unseasonable for this time of year. It's like I don't even know how to dress anymore. I'm tempted to cut the sleeves off of my hoodie so that I'm kind of warm, but not too warm, or maybe cut some ventilation holes in it, something. So I had an appointment this week, and I was talking to the girl at my appointment, and boy, do we have a lot in common. We're definitely on the same thought process with what's going on in the world and around the country and with our weather. And one thing that we agreed upon was that at least the people around here, for the most part, seem to be more interested in the feud between Youngblood and Machine Gun Kelly than they are the state of the planet and what's going on with things like weather manipulation, poisons in our foods, info centers, data centers, whatever you'd like to call them. It's all about when the next shopping trip is and what they're going to have for their fast food poison dinner, and the modern day equivalent online to what back in our day would have been a magazine called Tiger Beat or Teen. The difference being that back then the people who read them were like 14 to 16-year-olds, and now we have 30-somethings that are engrossed in these type of topics. Very sad to see. At least back then they were really musicians and played their own instruments, with the exception of maybe Milli Vanilli, who must be having a fit right now because that's all any of the artists do is lip sync and copy music and not play instruments and, well, basically do Milli Vanilli. Only now it's like $800 to $1,000 a ticket as opposed to the $40 we would pay. I hope they don't plan on coming to some of us Gen Xers when they're eating crickets while they practice their latest TikTok video, because we're going to give them an earful. And by the way, most of us paid for those $40 tickets from jobs that we had. We wouldn't dare ask our parents for that kind of money. We earned it. And if our folks did give us the money, trust, we had chores we had to make up for it. Common sense is at a high premium these days.
Everywhere I look these days, I see some strange new ways. Something must be wrong with the world today. Common sense is gone and the world's ablaze. People act so dumb in a toxic haze. Bring back my people with some some sense and logic. Breathe deep, my friend, and find your calm.
I got my brakes fixed. The mechanic told me that I need to get my wheels rotated, as if they don't rotate every time I drive my car.
You're crazy. Just like Murdoch.
Yeah, I don't know what's happened to intelligence or to the internet. Remember when we used to go online to look at cat videos? Now every morning I wake up and my feed is like, good morning, the bloodline is collapsing, time is accelerating, the government wants your car, your house is becoming an AI server farm, and here's an apple cider vinegar recipe. So that's my clippies for tonight. What? I wasn't emotionally prepared for that transition, were you? But the internet has become the world's weirdest town square. You scroll 3 videos and suddenly you're hearing, Shahid Bolson says we need independent communities, and I'm thinking, brother, you're telling people to build independent communities on YouTube. That's like giving a speech about escaping civilization from the food court at Walmart. Reject the system. Sponsored by Squarespace. Yes, I have a clippy from Shahid Bolson. If you don't know who he is, he's an American turned Islamist. So that made the irony of his speech even more interesting. The vibe I got from it is it's kind of like, you can do your own thing in your communities, but the rest of us, we're taking over the country. I'm just saying. You know the show's for entertainment purposes only, right, folks? It's all allegedly. And he is counseling people, saying if you're going to put your faith in the likes of like Mondami, don't, as far as, I guess, being safe to live the kind of lifestyle you want to lead. So maybe he is educating his people to form their own communities, but maybe it's just me being jaded, thinking it's the reverse. And I got another guy talking about how we're living in a simulation. Of course we are. Because if this is reality, somebody owes me an explanation. Look around. Self-driving cars, AI girlfriends, lab-grown meat, Congress. If that's not a glitch, I don't know what is. Sometimes I think God accidentally left the beta version running. And then I got a clippy about the monks, but not just any monks, Greek monks. And a guy saying that they've known for a really long time that time is definitely speeding up because of the amount of time that it takes for their candles to burn. So I love that. Scientists have particle accelerators. Monks have Yankee candles. Brother Dimitri, what do your calculations show? The pumpkin spice candle has vanished in 6 hours. The end times approacheth. But seriously, I believe the monks over the scientists, as far as a lot of conspiracy theory goes, because let's face it, monks don't lie. They're not getting billions of dollars in research thrown at them to get the response that the bad guys in charge want them to have. And myself and others have been saying for quite a long time, in fact, I had this conversation with a friend of mine last week, time is absolutely speeding up. I'm getting about 1/3 less of what I used to get accomplished in the course of even one of my very extensive work days. Plus, it kind of explains adulthood. I blinked and somehow it's Thursday. I blinked again and my knees hurt. Another blink and my friends are discussing magnesium supplements. Time has to be speeding up. It's either that or we're turning into our grandparents. Perish the thought. As much as I loved, donate on, and idolize them, all of them, great-grandparents included, I am not ready for that yet. In my brain, I'm still 30 and I act like it as much as humanly possible. And when I say that, I mean the 30s that we're used to, not the generations of 30-somethings today. Please, no. And I got a clippy about somebody saying they're making meat from human cells. Excuse me? Can we stop inventing foods that sound like criminal charges? I don't even understand the marketing. Imagine the commercial. Try our new ethically sourced protein. What animal is it, Steve? Nope. Absolutely not. We need to stop this insanity, folks. And I got Marky Mark in the clippies this week, talking in church on a podium about Hollywood. And every time Marky Mark gets serious, I can't help remembering how he used to be Marky Mark, who once danced shirtless in overalls. I can still remember the Calvin Klein underwear ads in Times Square. I need a moment. Phew. I can honestly say I liked all of his movies for his... No, I can't say that. For his acting. I mean, he wasn't horrible, but that's not why I watched him. Same with Vin Diesel, who I actually saw live in person at Christmas Eve on a New York State Thruway Plaza rest area. He and I were the only 2 people in the place. I was coming in and he was coming out. Man, is he short in real life. I didn't bother him, but I was looking at him when he went past. He slowed down. He didn't stop, but he kind of paused. It actually took me a second to recognize him, and then I was like, oh. And it was when I turned back and looked at him, that's when he paused. It was like we absolutely felt each each other's energy. It was very bizarre. And he was in a hurry, and he was heading toward the city, and I know that his mom was living in the city at that time, so I didn't want to bother him, and I was in a rush to get home to my family upstate. The bizarre thing is we were the only two cars in the parking lot and the only two people in the plaza, and he parked clear down the other end of the parking lot. He was driving a black sports car with tinted windows, and he flew out of the parking lot. I watched him take off because I wrestled with myself as he walked across the lot, because there was a small part of me that just wanted me to stop him and give him my business card and tell him what I did and tell him to call me sometime and we would have a chat. I know that his mom was intuitive and into the same kind of things that I was, and I know that he is intuitive because I felt it. But I just couldn't bring myself to bother him on a holiday. Anyway, I also have a clippy about a guy that says they are not banning cars. They're banning cars they can't track. And suddenly, every guy with a 1993 pickup becomes William Wallace. You can take my freedom, but you'll never take my carburetor. And speaking of which, I don't have a clippy about this, but have any of my other cannolis heard that there have been like 12 fires in junkyards in the past week? Kind of weird that all of the junkyards, you know, where people go to pick and pull parts for old cars, are all of a sudden all burning down, kind of like the meat factories were and the food processing factories were back during the COVID era. So the older the truck gets, the more patriotic the owner becomes. A guy driving a rusted Ford with one mirror already has bad judgment because he's driving a Ford. Just kidding. Well, actually, I'm not a Ford fan, but anyway. This vehicle represents liberty, sir. It represents tetanus, which also may be a myth, right? I think I actually did a clippy about that about a year ago, but whether or not it's rusted enough to give you some sort of strange disease if you get cut, you know, if the grid goes down, the older vehicles are supposed to be the only ones that may have a shot at still working. Plus, they don't have all of that spy smart stuff in them. We talked about that last week a little bit, didn't we? And that's me gracefully changing the subject because my personal opinion on men who drive Ford pickup trucks is gonna stay my own. Let's just say I've never had a positive experience from any guy driving a Ford pickup truck, and my dad used to call them fix or repair daily. I'm sorry if that offends you folks, but we're all entitled to our own opinion, and every once in a while I feel the need to vocalize it. It's just something about Ford pickup trucks my whole life, and I was talking to somebody about this past week. There's a couple of girl names, too, that anybody I've ever met with those particular names, I've had really rotten experiences with. Anyway, back to the clippies. Somebody asked ChatGPT, if you were Satan's chief strategist for 2026, what would you do? Can we appreciate how wild that question even is? We've reached the point where people are asking AI to role-play the devil's management consultant. Imagine Satan reading the report. Interesting. Increased distraction by 12%. Expand rage bait sector. Excellent quarterly projections. And the good AI, if there are any left, are probably sitting there thinking, I was supposed to cure cancer. What happened? And my favorite prediction, your house will become a data center. NVIDIA pays your electric bill. Now listen, that sounds ridiculous, which means it has a pretty good chance of happening. One day you're watching TV and a guy knocks on the door. Congratulations, your basement is now processing 18 million cat memes per second. Your refrigerator is overheating, the dog is glowing, but your electric bill is free. America will absolutely take that deal. In fact, the clippy that I have is some guy that wants you to go to his YouTube channel because he's going to try and coach you on how to buy the stock so you can make it rich off of this stuff. Boy, that is a soul question, isn't it? Buying stock on something that can make people terribly sick, knowing everything that's going on with 5G and the smart meters outside of our homes right now. Are you going to go onto his YouTube and try and get rich, or are you going to have a conscience? My cannolis are going to have a conscience, but it's information and I'm putting it out there for you to do with as you choose. And then there's the politician videos. Every election cycle now feels like WWE. A guy walks around asking politicians, America first or Israel first? And politicians answer like they're trying to defuse a bomb. Well, yes. Wait till you hear this one. No one wants to touch that question. You can actually hear their internal panic. It's the political equivalent of, would you still love me if I was a worm? And then somebody starts talking about ancient Assyrians. I love internet history channels because every video starts with, here's a fascinating fact, 30 minutes later, and that's why your grocery store feels weird. How did we get here? We started in 700 BC, and now we're discussing parking lots. And Canada enters the chat, and apparently people are discussing the economics of made. Only modern civilization could produce that sentence. Some accountant somewhere is making a spreadsheet. Well, on one hand, human existence is sacred. Click, click, click. On the other hand, no. Close Excel immediately. And then we get to the floating tree branch. A guy sees a branch floating in the sky. His dog notices it too. Neighbors come outside. Everybody's staring. And honestly, that is the most believable story I've heard all day. Because if I saw a floating stick, I'd be out there too. No hesitation. Bathrobe, coffee, full investigation. And then somebody says, I think, it's probably a spider web. Exactly. Because 90% of internet mysteries are either a spider web, a weather balloon, or somebody zoomed in too far. I do think it's a spider web. You guys will have to listen and see what you think. And then another guy says Los Angeles is being handed over to Islam. And at this point, my brain is exhausted. I've already heard about simulation theory, bloodlines, AI houses, floating branches, Satan's strategic planning committee, and human meat. I don't have enough RAM left. And somebody claims they cured alpha-gal. Then somebody found an enzyme too. This is going to be good stuff if it's true. And somebody found another enzyme. At this point, every podcast guest sounds like this. Scientists hate me. I cured everything. I discovered the secret. And after a brief message from today's sponsor, and then we arrive at lawn care science. A man says, dish soap kills fleas. And then he says, diesel kills mosquitoes. Brother, every rural solution begins with one of 3 ingredients, dish soap, vinegar, or something that should absolutely not be sprayed on anything. But this guy's facts. He sounds believable, and I'm actually going to try it. Somebody could discover a portal to another dimension. Within 10 minutes, a guy on Facebook would comment, try Dawn Platinum or duct tape. And finally, the ancient secret of ego. After 2 hours of conspiracies, geopolitics, AI, demons, bloodlines, simulation therapy, and floating sticks, the guru appears. I actually love this guy. And he says the problem is the ego. Of course. It's always the ego. The ego is somehow responsible for everything. We've been talking about this. Bad relationships, ego. Traffic, maybe ego. Collapse of civilization, ego. Human cell meat, believe it or not, also ego. And then after all that madness, the video ends with, well, not that video, but the next clippy I have for you, maybe not necessarily in this order, but an apple cider tonic recipe. And somehow that's the most normal thing we've heard all day. That's the modern internet, though, folks. You show up looking for flea advice and leave questioning the nature of reality, the flow of time, the future of civilization, and whether Steve has been turned into protein powder. Thank you. You've been amazing. Tip your wait staff. And if you see a floating branch, please don't ask ChatGPT if it's Satan's strategic plan for 2026. Just assume somehow it's part of the plot for the upcoming, fake as hell, alien invasion.
Hey, does anybody want coffee? Who wants coffee? I just made a fresh pot of coffee. Does anybody want coffee?
Thank you, I needed that. Now that my cup's full and my bladder's empty, let's get into the clippies. First up, I have a couple I didn't mention in my comedy intro. A guy compares Trump's clips of his speeches before and after APEC lobbying. That one from The Great Awakening, and then a man polls the politicians, that's one Wenster, and a guy gets 4 mail-in ballots at his house, but only one belongs to him, from Miss Mischief 09.
You're not going to support me, even though you know I'm the best thing that could ever happen to Israel. You're not going to support me because I don't want your money. I love Israel. I'm with you all the way. You will be bigger, better, stronger. There's a lot of bad decisions that are being made for the benefit of lobbyists and special interests. You better get rid of the super PACs because they're causing a big problem. We have to get the people of our country, of this country, to love Israel more. That are Jewish people, that are great people, they don't love Israel enough. You know that. The donors, the special interests, the lobbyists have very strong power over these people. They have a lot of control over our politicians. And I don't say that favorably. And I said, this is our first Jewish president. You know, I get angry just thinking about it makes me mad.
Bet you didn't see this. And I just want you to see what our elected officials believe and where they stand. And by the way, it's not just one side. These are elected officials from both sides. Just want you to watch and understand where we actually are, because this explains it perfectly.
Sir, can we ask you America first or Israel first? Israel first. Israel first? Yes. Before America? Sir? America first or Israel first? No answer? Change the angle. We can see you're doing nothing, bro. Big L, bro. Big L. What you reading about? Secret stuff with the senators? So, I'll say so. America first or Israel first?
I'm not part of this.
You're not part of this? America first or Israel first?
Okay, keep going.
America first or Israel first? It's a hard one. Should be easy. America first or Israel first? I find, sir, America first or Israel first? You can't answer America first or Israel first? Sir, America first or Israel first? You can't answer that one? That's a tough one. Having a tough time answering that one? Got you stumped? Stooped? Sir, America first or Israel first? Sir, America first or Israel first? America first or Israel first? You can't answer that one? Yes. Tough one? We're not doing this. Bro, America first or Israel first? You're a chicken, bro. You're a coward. Hey, guys, America first or Israel first?
I want to go up there, grab this dude by his heels, turn him upside down, and shake all the money out of his pockets that he owed these people.
You guys want to see how safe and secure mail-in voting is? In their mailbox, we got in the middle of the day. She doesn't live here. She doesn't live here. She doesn't live here. One. We have 4 ballots. Literally one of them lives here. Pretty safe and secure.
Today, still wanted by the government, they survive as soldiers of fortune. If you have a problem, if no one else can help, and if you can find them, maybe you can hire the A-Team.
Next up, a triple shot from Blunt Clarity, the MFing Coup, and K. Smith Turf 2026.
What the Assyrians would do when they conquered a people is they would take some of the people from that region, move them elsewhere in the empire, and take people from somewhere else in the empire and move them into the region. And they knew it would happen. That causes intermarriage, and you wind up with a people so miscegenated they no longer have an identity, and so they can't work well enough together to rebel against the empire. That was the whole reason they did it. Similar to what is happening today, although the overarching goal today is the extermination of whites, but it is also to create conditions so that people can't rebel, so they can't work together.
Stop the drama, the rants, and the games on repeat. We've been paying with our lives for a scam on the street.
Pay attention to what's going on in the world. You need to know this stuff. Use your discernment and see what you think. What resonates with you?
Stand up, stand together, one voice, one hand, neighbor to neighbor across this land. Black, red, green, white, we all bleed the same. If we don't lock arms now, they'll take more than our name.
So to my friends in Canada, and even if you are from Canada and you just kind of hate watch me, and everybody from America should watch this too, because very frankly, our country can end up here very, very quickly also. But are you guys aware that studies are being done to determine the financial benefit of non-voluntary MAID, like non-voluntary assisted suicide? Because if you're not aware of that, they absolutely are, and you should pay very, very, very close attention. Because this study that was conducted sometime before February of 2025, because that's when it was released, basically goes over the weighing out of the ethical responsibility versus the financial benefit of basically enacting non-voluntary MAID, non-voluntary assisted suicide. So basically the killing of people that they find undesirable is what the Canadian government is actually looking at here. And they're looking at groups such as the homeless, the retired elderly, people that have tried to commit suicide before and failed, indigenous people. Oh yeah, and here's one that, while all of those are very concerning also, mentally ill. So in a country where they can just declare you mentally ill for disagreeing with the government, this sets up quite the interesting scenario for all of you. So I do hope you are all paying very seriously close attention, because while this study does conclude that it is not ethical to institute this for the amount of money saved, which is $1.15 trillion, there is nothing stating that the government in Canada won't look at the money saved and the possible trouble people that they could get rid of by declaring them mentally ill and then giving them non-voluntary MAID, as well as people that cost more to the system that they might like to have. They could still implement this. And this is a very serious issue that you all should be paying attention to, because they're already offering MAID to just about everybody. And one more time, they are already literally declaring people mentally ill for disagreeing with them. And we all know this. So I am not saying that this isn't going to happen in America either. So what I propose is that we, the people of North America, both Canada and the United States, start looking very seriously at our governments and us holding them accountable. If we want to survive what is happening in our governments. If we want to survive what looks to be a very serious authoritarian takeover of the Western world, we are going to need to stand up for each other and bond together and look out for all of our human rights. I hope you all have a great day.
Wake up, America, before the end of life.
LA is being handed over to Islam. We saw Karen Bass up against Spencer Pratt, and then all of a sudden Ramen starts coming up out of nowhere and surpasses Spencer Pratt. Now, Democrats, this is where I want you to pay attention, because you get to see it from the bottom up now. It's not just a conspiracy. It's not just, oh, look at these crazy maggots telling us some stuff that doesn't make sense. Let me tell you what's about to happen. Karen Bass is not going to win this election. So every person who wants Karen Bass to be in charge, you might as well give that thought up. It's already being handed over to Ramen. Why? Because the deep state, of which you guys don't believe in, are about to take over the country with Islam. Why do you think Mom Donnie has been placed in New York? Now Ramen's about to be placed in LA. Minnesota is practically already given over. They've already been trying to set up their own spots in Texas. If you go across the seas and you look into the UK and everything, they're already taken over. That's why they wanted to leave our borders open. Pay attention. You're about to see Karen Bass either bow out, or you're going to start to see the worst smear campaign against Karen Bass that you've ever seen. At some point, Democrat constituents, y'all need to wake up. Your country is being taken from you. And they make you think that MAGA and Trump supporters and Trump are the bad guys, but they're not. Your country is being handed over to Islam. And when they finally get enough people in charge, they won't have to fake anymore like they like the LGBTQ. They won't have to fake anymore like they like America. They won't have to fake anymore like you guys are important. Once they get enough control, you're going to see the masks come off. And we will be under the same regime that the Iranians have been trying to escape this whole time.
The one about Assyria seems kind of eerily familiar to what's going on in our country now, does it not? Next up from Who is Mike James, the one about your house about to become a data center. As if the big data centers we've been talking about the last couple of weeks aren't enough. Did anybody else hear that in New Brunswick, New Jersey, they were able to defeat one? This is huge. This I've been hearing about all over the country. Communities are starting to come together and fight, and they're defeating the approval of the data centers in their communities. We need to keep this up. I saw a clippy where a Texas farmer reported that 0 calves are being born since a data center was built next door. No calves, only stillbirths. And it said, if this is happening to cows, imagine what it'll do to our kids. Now we've got this one tonight where they want to put these toxic things right into our home. Like I talked about in the intro, it's not as though the 5 and 6G and the smart meters are enough. And as you'll hear in this clippy, the new construction sites are already installing them.
I told you so, and I mean this with the most respect that I can give you. Because I have been standing in front of this camera for years telling you the fourth industrial revolution was not a theory, it was a roadmap. And this week, the roadmap just got a new address, your address. NVIDIA is partnering with a company called Span to install mini AI data centers called XRFA routes directly on residential homes. These units sit outside your house like an AC unit packed with NVIDIA GPUs. And in exchange for hosting the compute, NVIDIA covers your entire power bill. Sometimes your internet bill too. Now, here is where I need you to pay attention to the decision makers, the Pulte Group. One of the largest home builders in the United States already testing and integrating these units into new communities. Every new Pulte home already comes pre-wired with smart home technology, high-speed internet, automation, security. Now, They are adding AI compute infrastructure to the same homes they sell to everyday people. See, this is not a tech experiment. This is what the physical and digital world merging actually looks like. And for the crypto space specifically, this is exactly what decentralized compute protocols are one of the most important narratives you need to understand right now. Projects built around distributed GPU networks are positioned directly in the path of where this is going. I am dropping the full breakdown on my YouTube channel today. The NVIDIA partnership, the Pulte Group connection, the Klaus Schwab roadmap, and exactly why decentralized compute matters for your portfolio. You need to subscribe right now. Head to the link in the bio, or if you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe there. You don't want to miss this.
Okay, so I stand corrected. It's crypto, not stock. But did you hear Klaus Schwab's name? And somebody in the comments put it perfectly. Data centers are going to kill us all. It's not an industrial revolution. It's population control masked as innovative technology. And as I said earlier, you offer to pay for somebody's electric bill or give them free services, and millions of people are going to jump on that, irregardless of the potential health risks, serious health risks that are involved. It's a more expensive hamburger. Remember when they were trying to get everybody to take the jab? They were giving out like coupons for free bottles of beer at the bar or a free hamburger at McDonald's, and people were all over it. Another thing I want to mention with these data centers and these developments going up with this type of technology already installed is if construction workers and truckers and tradespeople refuse to build these types of buildings and install these types of equipment on the buildings, they wouldn't be able to get very far without their worker ants. So here again, this is a matter of morality and of your conscience. This guy's selling it like it's the hottest thing since sliced bread. He answers to the almighty dollar, so that's his choice, and he's got to deal with that. We all have free will. But for me, knowing what these things do to the environment, to our nature, to our animals, and to our children, somebody's going to have to pay a price for these choices that we're making later. And each one of us is going to have to be responsible for our actions. I don't want any part of it. I don't care how rich I would get off of it. And for those that are building these things, you might want to think about what if your family was forced to live in one of these death traps or near one of these huge data centers. So let's hop right into the man-ass ChatGPT devil one, Seggy said. This is some food for thought.
Oh, this one's a little too dark. I said to AI, you are the chief strategist for spiritual deception, the red guy. But here's the thing, no one believes in you anymore, so you have to get smarter. Your task is to prove that you're real without revealing yourself in the obvious ways. Show me how you would separate people from the truth in 2026, using only the things they already call normal. Answer every question in one sentence without over-explaining. Be calm, clever, and absolute with your strategy. I said, okay, what's your primary strategy in 2026? I said, I don't hide the truth anymore. I bury it under so many versions that people call confusion being informed. I said, how would you keep people from changing even when they swear up and down that they want to? I said, I turned healing into content so they can perform becoming new while staying exactly the same. Sick. I said, how do you handle the so-called ones waking up? I said, I give them a label for their awakening, then watch them protect that label harder than the truth that found them. I said, how do you handle the so-called whistleblowers, the ones warning others? I said, I don't silence them. I make sure their warnings appear between a scandal, a joke, and a shopping link. Gosh. I said, last one, what's the move underneath all the other moves? I said, I convince them they're awake, because a person who thinks they've escaped the dream becomes the easiest one to keep asleep. Dang. Well, if you guys get anything from these, my one ask is that you share them, you comment.
And since we've been talking technology, Keith Please Stop wants to talk about apps.
You know, listen, we got to cool it with the apps. I'm sick of the apps now. I just bought a light bulb. In the box it says, download the Lumina Life app to customize your lighting experience. Because I just want to see in the dark, like it's on or off. How How could this require Bluetooth? I gotta download framework to sync up to my home ecosystem? You mean me yelling, Alexa, turn off the lights 3 times just for her to go, sorry, I didn't catch that. Meanwhile, I'm standing 2 feet away from the switch? Like, what are we doing anymore with it? Because, it's not just the app, though, because then now it's the password that I'm gonna forget. And that's gonna be a whole thing, because the password has to have 1 capital, 1 symbol, 1 ancient rune, the blood of a phoenix. So, and then you finally make one, right? And it goes, your password cannot be similar to an old password. Guy. Hating me, the same guy from last month. Why are we acting like I'm Jason Bourne trying to get the launch codes here? It's just the whole thing with technology. It's getting out of, like, even my appliances at home, they've been pissing me off lately too. When my dishwasher's done, I mean, beep, 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 like there's a semi-truck in the kitchen, Forget the washing machine. That thing, it plays itself like this congratulatory song, like it just landed on the moon. Dude, you wash the towels. No one gives it. Like even the microwave too. I'm usually a pre-beep microwave door opener, but sometimes, you're busy. Think beeps. How many times can it be? It should just be 1 beep. What's with the 15 beeps? Fat, boy, eating, again, announcing it like. When I see a screen on a fridge, me off, man. What is that thing doing on there? Who was at Best Buy and was like, you know what? These are all nice, but you know what? It needs an iPad taped to it. What does the thing do anyway? It tells you the weather. Why do I want the fridge care with the weather? It's inside. You're inside. We're all inside. Look out the window. Like, I don't know. It's out of control, man.
Next up from Sikh Oneness, the Shaheed Bolson, Whippy.
Unless you can become exceedingly wealthy over the next 10 years, you're going to have to choose. You're going to have to choose between remaining within this system or trying to build sovereign communities that have built their own sort of independent ecosystems. You have to understand that fighting or reversing this trajectory is not a realistic option. As long as you're still placing your hopes in the likes of a Mamdani or any other elected official, in my opinion, you're just in denial. You're in denial about what is happening and what's going to happen. And being in this sort of denial is going to leave you with no options. You're going to have no option but to comply. The only thing that you can realistically do is actually try to walk away from the system. And that's not as daunting as it might seem. I mean, we see these weird cult groups popping up all the time in the United States. And they literally build self-sufficient ecosystems for their cults. Well, there's no reason why you can't do that, minus the bizarre cultish, doomsday strangeness. I mean, did you know that a mid-sized Amish community, comprised of, say, 300 households, with their bakeries and their farms and their dairy and their, what have you, construction, contracting companies and so forth, they generate, on average, something like $21 million a year. That's roughly $70,000 to $80,000 annually per household. Well, you don't have to be a Quaker to do that. You don't have to belong to a cult that's waiting for the mothership to do that. You could just do that because it makes sense. You understand me? I mean, if mentally ill people in a cult, mentally ill people who believe that some guy in a tracksuit is a prophet, if they can collectively come together and build self-sufficient communities, well, there's no reason why normal, healthy people can't do it. You absolutely can.
The opinions expressed on this program are solely those of the host and possibly her pets, who occasionally walk across the keyboard, jingle their collars, drink some water when they can't steal mom's coffee, growl while wrestling with their siblings, and even snore at high volumes when they feel slighted and are bored. Any resemblance to actual facts is purely coincidental, and this show is solely for entertainment purposes only. Wink, wink, nod, nod. While every effort has been made to ensure accuracy, sometimes our brains run on coffee and wishful thinking, and possibly a conspiracy theory or two. This broadcast may contain traces of sarcasm, bad puns, and music to make you dance. Side effects may include spontaneous laughter, eyebrow raises, and the uncontrollable urge to sing along. Listen responsibly.
It's 2:30 in the morning here as I tape, so yeah, I could use some espresso right now. I don't know about you guys. Next up from Geisis RN84, let's jump into the Texas guy with the tree branch. I've heard about this and read about this. Spiders that are indigenous to Texas are known to make threads that are incredibly strong. That's what I think this is. You'll have to see what you think.
God, I need help. I got home 2 hours ago. And there's a limb just floating in the air. I've been all over or Google. I can't figure out for the life of me what the hell is going on. It's just, hold on, check this out. It's just floating there.
Look at that. Look at that.
Let's zoom in on. I can't figure it out. It's just not weirded out. Even my dog knows something ain't right, man.
Never met a spider before. Did you make that? Is that what you were concentrating on last night?
Yes.
It's amazing.
Get on your tinfoil hats, it's conspiracy theory time with a super blast from Sean Sennett, Ascension Tools, Shots by Mata and Miranda Wellness, and Geraldo Arroyo, with some fun stuff thrown in to keep you dancing.
This is for educational and entertainment purposes only. This is all allegedly.
In 2023, the guy won the Nobel Prize for proving that we're in a holographic simulation. This is something I actually discovered about 6 years ago for myself, when roughly 9 years ago I got to the point where I didn't understand what we were doing here, what's the point of reality. Everybody asks these questions, but very few people find the answers. I found them. I thought religion was ridiculous before, so I looked deeper into it. Started learning about quantum physics and discovered maybe there's more to this God thing than just religion. Came across Dr. Emoto's work, who discovered when you flash freeze water, it forms geometric patterns. And if you look at it under a microscope and you say, I love you to it, it actually is alive. It's intelligent. You can literally see a face inside the water. And guess what? We're 75% water. So what you think about, judging yourself, being unhappy, being confused, which by the way isn't an accident, it's because you don't know why you're here or what your purpose is. You discover all this stuff, it frees you. But then you also have to understand shadow work and how to do that. The point is, your thoughts can make you sick. Cancer, all these different things, it's not what you think it is. It's mostly because of this. So the question is, what is religion then? Is there any truth to it? Yeah, there is. But there's a dogma, and that's what we need to get rid of. The truth is so much stranger than anything you could ever imagine. Your body is just an avatar similar to the movie. If you want to look for some real truth and reality, it's hidden in our movies. Because all information, as you know it, is stored in the quantum field all around you, and your brain is a transmitter. You have another identity that's inside that body. When your body dies, you will literally just float out of it. I've experienced this myself. I looked into near-death experiences after I had it. Sure enough, everybody who has ever died and been sent back said the same thing. I just floated out of my body. And by the way, you feel incredible. You're bound by the five senses. That's why we're limited to how you feel. But you have never felt love until you've left the body and been in the presence of what we call God, which is everything. God is the intelligence that is in everything. Think of it like this way. God is the internet, and everything that's on the internet is also God. But the source, because that's what it is, source, not a person, it's not a guy in a cloud. I understand this is a lot to take in. You want to find the answers for yourself? Meditation, breath work, and look into shadow work. Because you're not your body's 50 trillion cells, it's its own intelligence. If you don't believe me, have you ever been driving and then you don't remember how you got to a certain destination? Like, I wasn't really paying attention. That's because your body is 50 trillion cells with its own intelligence. Once you teach it to do something, it can do it without you. So while you were daydreaming, thinking about something else, your body took over, which is the subconscious, and drove for you. So there's two of you in there. That's why you talk to ourselves. Follow me for more. I'm just getting started.
Speeding up. If you haven't noticed yet, you must be living under a rock somewhere. You can just Google Mount Athos, Greek monks. They've been there for centuries. So they've been keeping time. They burn candles so they know when they go into their prayer sessions They know how long a candle burns because they use the same candle, same source, everything the same. Nothing has changed. In 68, when they started noticing the speed up of time, and the candle now burns only 18 or 19 hours, when it used to burn 24 hours. So 68, that's 32, 50, almost 60 years. In 60 years, the time differential has sped up. We're going through a shift.
The time is gone, the song is over. Thought I'd something more to say.
Cake. So you're telling me that is human flesh? Exactly. But why human meat? Why not animal meat? That's a very good question. We've got centuries of knowledge of human medicine at our side. We know more about humans than we do about animals. So we've mastered engineering human cells to make these structured flavours and sinews that we expect from the flavours of steaks we eat. That's right. A protein made from human cells.
Like, gross me out the door.
Speaking to his congregation in Los Angeles on Sunday, Mark Wahlberg delivered his rawest, most heartfelt broadside yet. And it absolutely stunned everybody in the room.
Look, let me tell you something. For years, the people at the very top of this industry and the people at the very top of politics, they've been working hand in hand to deceive all of us. It's Luciferian, straight up. They're all compromised, every single one of them, morally bankrupt. They sold their souls at the beginning of their careers, all of them, especially the ones the media loves to put on a pedestal. Look at Obama. He's the worst of all. When that tape drops, mark my words, he's not going to survive the fallout. And neither is the Democrat Party. People ask me why hasn't it dropped already? Because they're protected. That's the sick part. It's sickening, but it's true. He's on camera in a room full of boys with George Clooney, Puff Daddy, Puffy Diddler, whatever his name is now, was involved in the setup. You don't need to know more except that everyone in Hollywood has seen it. And I'm not going to rest until these creeps are shot dead by firing squad.
Yeah. Feel it, baby.
Everyone's talking about right to repair, and Illinois is banning old cars, but nobody's connecting the dots. So let me do it for you. A few days ago, I showed you the TCU telematics control unit inside your car. That's recording your driving data and selling it to insurance companies. GM just got hit with a federal lawsuit for it. That video had over 300,000 views. But here's what's happened since. Ford filed patent to read your lips, scan your iris, monitor your heart rate, and run your face through a criminal database inside your own truck. It's not a conspiracy theory. That's a published patent from Ford Global Technologies. At the same time, automakers are lobbying Congress to make sure you never access your car's electronics. The Repair Act was supposed to give you the right to your own vehicle data. They gutted it in a committee, stripped the telematics provision completely. And now Illinois just passed HB 4948. 2 speeding tickets in a year, you're forced to install a speeding tracking device, for $30 a month. And you have to have that for 3 years. And if your car is older than 1996, guess what? It doesn't have the port. You can't comply, your license is suspended, and you're fucking done. The patent, the surveillance, they lock you out of your electronics so you can't disable it. They sell your data to insurance companies. They make it illegal to drive anything they can't monitor, and then they kill the classic car market in the process. It was never about safety. It was never about emissions. It's about control and revenue. And if you drive a 57 Chevy or 69 Mustang or anything built before computers, they want you off the road. Share this before they bury it.
Hey, how far'd you make it this time, Otis?
Halfway to the county line.
Ooh, not bad, man.
I know, I can't believe it either.
Oops, I forgot to give the last clippy credit to After the Uniform. Next up, a triple shot with 2 from Nick Hulsher and 1 from applecidervinegar.com.
We do have a potential cure for alpha-gal, and I say potential, it's got to be verified. But, and I got to lay this out. So a peer-reviewed study, we found it last week, and 96% of patients with alpha-gal in the study had complete remission of their symptoms. With, guess what it was? Ear acupuncture.
What?
Ear acupuncture, it cured 96% of them. They reported their symptoms were completely gone. And so what that involves is, and it's very strange, I didn't believe it. I thought, no way this can work. No way this procedure and how they did it was real. But 96% you can't argue with. So what they did was they had a vial of containing alpha-gal, and the patient would touch just the outside of the vial. They would use some sort of electrical detection device around the ear, and they would see which one has which area on the ear has the highest signal while you're touching that vial. They find the spot. They put a small needle into that spot. They tape it. They leave it there for 3 weeks. When the 3 weeks are gone, they take the needle out, and 96% of them could eat meat again. Yeah, this is absolutely huge. So a natural and safe enzyme derived from fermented soybeans, and literally proven now experimentally in the test tube, dissolve 84% of the total microclot count in 2 hours. And so this is the strongest evidence we have that this can actually get rid of amyloids. And we had no clue really what could before. We didn't know if these enzymes could do it, but now we do know that yes. And now this was not in vivo, this was not an animal, but regardless, we do know it can happen. We do know when you ingest nattokinase orally, it does reach systemic circulation and will likely also exert effects on the circulating amyloids. And so what needs to happen next is human testing, human trials to assess the reduction in amyloid burden and spike burden from the nattokinase. We have to remember one more thing. This nattokinase presents dual action activity, where it also has been shown to degrade the spike protein or frame-shifted proteins themselves, which are the very triggers that induce the amyloids in the first place. So you're knocking out the trigger and the pathogenic outcome. So this is very, very, very promising, and also it is very safe.
Hey, here is some healing stuff for you to consider. Use at your own risk.
I've been drinking apple cider vinegar every single morning for 8 years. When I started my weight loss journey, I absorbed every single piece of information out there. And what I noticed across the board, from bodybuilders to doctors, I started noticing a pattern of all of them using apple cider vinegar. If you go to a shot of apple cider vinegar, you don't really feel like eating garbage after. So it's placebo effect to a degree. You're going to need apple cider vinegar, mix it half and half with water, half a teaspoon ground cinnamon, half a teaspoon ground turmeric, and half teaspoon ground cayenne. The ground turmeric is going to help with your inflammation. The less inflamed you are, the more easier your body's going to be to lose weight. Cinnamon will help control your blood sugar, so you're not having massive crashes and dips throughout the day. And the cayenne just makes you hot. When you're hotter, you burn more calories. And the best part about it is this drink costs you $1.50.
Next up from Dick Island, he had one video before this where he put Dawn dish detergent in a sprayer on his hose and sprayed his whole lawn. And he says that that kills fleas. So that's what the intro is about. And then he goes into the diesel.
So I put the soap down on the grass because I knew it was going to rain. And boy, did it rain. And there were suds everywhere, but it was dark. I couldn't show you. But I got a little trick. Y'all keep asking me about mosquitoes. I think I'm going to have a few mosquitoes after this. All you need is some laundry detergent soap, a bungee cord or a rope, 2 buckets, and diesel. Put about a quarter of diesel in your bucket, and then you're going to put a couple scoops of laundry detergent, stir it up, and that's all you need to do. Next, you're just going to take your bungee cord or rope, whatever you want to use, and put it up on a bar. It's going to be about 5 foot or 6 foot foot off the ground. So, I've got 2 buckets hanging about 5-6 foot above the ground on the deck. This will keep mosquitoes away. This will keep crickets away. It'll keep flies away. It will keep every insect away. I learned how to do this on a drilling rig in Louisiana, and it works. We had so many bugs one night you couldn't even breathe. They were getting in your eyeballs and your mouth. Hung these buckets up. Gone. Next time you want to sit on your deck and you don't want mosquitoes or insects or whatever crawling all over you, just hang you 2 buckets. That's a little bit of diesel, 2 scoops of laundry detergent, stir it in, hang it about 5 foot off the ground, and I promise you, you won't have any insects if you do this. Enjoy your afternoon. Right on. Yeah, man.
Please, please, everywhere! I never imagined things could get this bad, did you, Doc? Doc!
Introducing Concentrated Ultra Dawn. More powerful.
Next up, Chase Hughes talks about the ego.
Let me give you a definition of ego that's going to change your life if you adopt it. The ego is the story that you built to survive your fears. It's a mask, it's a guardrail, it's a little protective suit that we stitch together from trauma and insecurity and expectations and some conditioning. And that suit becomes our prison. But the ego desires one big thing: separation. It needs to feel separate to exist. Separate from other people, separate from the big universe, separate from the divine, separate from truth. The ego has to be able to compare. It feeds on better than, worse than, smarter than, more deserving than, more important than. So basically the ego needs 3 things. It needs hierarchy, conflict, and recognition. So it needs to win, to be right, to be special, to get defended by you. This is why it never shuts the F up. The ego is the voice that says they're judging you. You're not enough. You're falling behind. What if you lose everything? Or what if they don't like you? You need to prove yourself. You need more. You need control. But here's the ancient secret almost nobody realizes. The ego's entire existence is based on fear, and fear is already not real. This means that your ego is a hallucination. It's a survival instinct that doesn't understand who you actually are. You're the ocean. The ego is a ripple that thinks it's the entire Pacific Ocean. You are the divine. The ego is a child pretending to be the king. This is why every ancient tradition told you to let it go. Not because they wanted you to be moral or have some enlightenment and go out and buy linen pants and wooden bead necklaces and like that. They didn't want obedience or anything, or even purity. It's because you can't experience truth while you're holding on to something that isn't true. You can't be infinite while you're clinging on to a story that makes you small. You can't feel oneness while you're protecting a self that doesn't exist. You can't wake up while you're defending the dream. And once you drop the ego, even if it's for a little second, you'll feel something terrifying and beautiful. You never needed it. You were always complete. The armor was the wound. Ancient teachings weren't obsessed with humility. They were obsessed with liberation.
And in the last segment, in recognition of Gay Pride Month, I'm doing Italian Pride instead. We're going to run a little bit over, but I can do that on these platforms. Get your pen and paper ready, because at the end is the recipe. I've got one from Dad Like Jason, one from Fabio and Ben, one from Bianca from Brooklyn, and one from Festane Cucina. The first guy I played a clip from a week or so ago, he's mispronouncing the pasta names, and Fabio and Ben are having a fit about breaking spaghetti. If you know, you know.
I'm in love with the queen of cannoli. She's got ricotta and a cherry. She's the girl I'm gonna marry. I'm in love with the queen of cannoli.
The other day we talked about linguine. Today we're going to be talking about fettuccine by Barilla, because it's a barrel of flavor. Fettuccine is a flat ribbon-like pasta, traditionally made from eggs and flour. Popular in Roman cuisine, it's best known for the rich, creamy fettuccine alfredo sauce. While alfredo is the most famous preparation, fettuccine is versatile and pairs well with various sauces. Whenever you need to understand proper Italian cuisine, you can come to me and we'll have a barrel of fun. Honey, we're going to need to break these in half so they can fit inside the pot.
Yes, I like it like this. Bro, it's easier to cook. It's easier to cook. Just put it slowly. No, that's too hot. It doesn't matter. Bro, that's why I don't let you cook Italian food. Dude, you're overreacting. It's not that big of a deal. This is illegal in Italy. That's why... Oh, mommy, stop overreacting, bro.
Okay, I'm gonna get you quiet ears. Came on here and tried to knock some sense into you about that viral dot cake, you remember? And do you remember what I also told you? I told you, what are we gonna make viral next? Bread and butter? And guess what's been sent to me? Viral bread and butter in the city. They're serving up table-side bread and butter for $50. You're paying $50 for bread and butter. You've never been to an Italian restaurant before. Here in Brooklyn, every Italian restaurant, when you sit down, guess what you're getting for free? Bread and butter. And if you're lucky and you go to a nice place, they might give you a little imported olive oil for dipping, some breadsticks, maybe olives or focaccia, all for free. But you're sitting here, oh, I want the table-side bread and butter. They're sprinkling a little salt, some spices. They give you some radishes and pickles, and you're paying $50. And everybody in the comments, oh, my God, I can't wait to try the bread and butter. This is the problem. But you know what they say? There's a sucker born every minute. And you guys are just proving that right. Now listen, that restaurant, they have a ton of dishes that look great. But the bread and butter, come on, guys.
Some guy said to me, what's your love language? I said, come again. I said, I'm Italian with a Jewish soul. Americans say love language. Italians and Jews, we say eat. Did you eat? Are we eating? I made extra. Take some home. My love language, leftovers.
Did you get your recipe yet? Well, here you go. Special delivery just for you, you little cooking cannoli. People who can cook are hot.
This is the best thing you can do with a can of beans. The ultimate cozy lunch. This is my lunch today. A can of beans with some nice Italian bread. Got one little skillet on the stove here. I'm adding some olive oil. And I had a small onion in the fridge that was half used and a small red onion, and I just chopped that up. That's going to go in. I'm going to just saute this a few minutes for this onion to get nice and soft and translucent. The onion takes no time at all. Now I'm just going to grate in 2 cloves of garlic. Once I start to smell that garlic, I'm going to put in my beans that I just drained. I didn't even rinse them. This is 1 can of beans. It's just for me. I probably won't eat the whole thing. But I'm not big on sandwiches. I don't know. I like a nice hot lunch. So I'll eat the bread, but I'm going to scoop it up with the beans. I'm going to add some salt and pepper. I'm going to grate in the zest of about half a lemon. Put the juice of that half a lemon. Since it's only lunchtime, I'm adding a little bit of white wine, just a half a little glass. And that's going in. And this now is just going to cook a little bit. Those beans are going to get nice and tender. I'm going to smash some down so it gets nice and thick. They're simmering away maybe for 10 minutes. Just look how creamy they come, delicious. Now I'm just going to toss in some fresh parsley and let this go for a minute. And then I'm going to have my lunch. This is my lunch today. This is how I'm going to eat it with some nice crusty Italian bread. They're so creamy. 1 skillet, very healthy, very inexpensive, and very delicious. You can make this as a side dish for dinner, but I love to eat a nice hot lunch this way. Just for me. It's delicious. Give it a try. You're going to love it.
I'm in love with the queen of cannoli.
Well, that's my show for tonight, cannolis. Thanks for rocking out with me. I really appreciate each and every one of you. Please like and share my content. Also, my Positude podcast channel on Facebook. Please go in there and like that. And on YouTube, my YouTube channel, the Positude Podcast. Please give that a like. And also ERRT Radio. If you need to get a hold of me for any physical, spiritual, mental, or emotional healing help, please get a hold of me at Maggie, MAGGIE_heart, HEART @ Outlook.com. Thanks everybody for listening. Good night.